The last half century has been fruitful in understanding the ancient Maya people after deciphering their scripts. The enormous amount of writing we found has led us to revolutionize our understanding of their society, from royal monarchs to warfare and science. While one may think that everything has been found that we can use to understand these people, there are still many discoveries to this day that change the way we think about this great people. These 13 discoveries from the last 10 years have shown that there are still many things we can learn about the Maya. I will be going over these discoveries in chronological order, starting from 2013 to our current year. Number 13. In 2013, in the Guatemalan site of Holmul, archaeologists unearthed a giant stucco frieze, a huge wall of sculpture made of stucco, which is dated to around 600 CE. The stucco frieze depicts a central figure being crowned as a new ruler with two people on his side. The inscriptions state that the whole building was commissioned by the king of Naranjo at the time, Alvosage. The frieze depicts how deep the politics and rivalries of the ancient Maya world, as the existence of this building shows Homol under the influence of Naranjo, a much larger and more influential kingdom which itself was a vassal of Calakmul, the largest Maya kingdom at the time. It is also the first depiction we have of the crowning of a new ruler. Just a quick side note, as I'm editing this video, I just realized I pronounced the name of Naranjo incorrectly, which, unfortunately, you guys will have to put up with that for the rest of this video. But I know how to say it now, and technically it's not even the true name of the city anyways. Number 12. For the next one, I need to explain the concept of an E-group. E-groups were architectural complexes in Maya settlements which may have been used for astronomical observations. They are called that because normally there's a central platform that views three superstructures that are aligned from north to south. Which brings us to, in 2013, the oldest E-group was found in Cerbzzz. While Cerbzzz is mostly known for surviving into the Terminal Classic period, it has been inhabited since pre-Classic times. The E-group at Cerbzzz started at least 1000 BCE, making it older than Olmec sites like Cerbzzz. The finding of this E-group helps us understand the development of a Maya civilization from a time before writing existed in this area. Number 11. In 2015, it was announced that the name of a stepped pyramid in the southern Mexican site of Palenque was deciphered. It is famously known as the Temple of Inscriptions and was the funerary monument for Knich Janab Pakal. The pyramid's real name is the House of Nine Sharpened Spears. Pakal was the most famous ruler of Palenque who ruled from the age of 12 at 615 CE to 683, and arguably the most famous leader of all Maya people. He is known for leading Palenque into a golden age and commissioning the grandest monumental architecture Palenque had ever seen, including the house, but it was finished in his son's reign after he died. The decipherment allows us to better understand the wars surrounding Palenque's history and could give further insight into Pakal's rule. Speaking of Palenque, we also recently found the giant head of a decapitated maize god in the site in 2022, which is used for reenacting mythological scenes of birth, death, and resurrection during rituals. Number 10. In 2015, a T-shaped jade pendant was found in the southern Belize site of Neem Li Punit, which was revealed to be the second largest Maya jade found in Belize. On the front side, it has a T graving, Ik, which is the inscription for wind, and on the back side there are inscriptions on what it was used for. The inscriptions on the back was a dedication to King Janab ol Knich and describes his parentage. There are also inscriptions which describe the king's accession in 647 and the first time the jade was used in a ritual in 672, which involved scattering incense into the wind to appease the local god of wind. The jade pendant is so important because it's, to my knowledge, the only inscription which is more than a calendar date that is still legible pertaining to the site, which means before 2015 we didn't know of King Janab and the details of the worship of the god of wind in the site. Number 9. In 2016, archaeologists unearthed a tomb in the Belize site of Shunan Tunich, which contained a muscular man in his 20s to 30s. We know he is of great importance because the tomb was in a structure specifically made for him, and his burial cache had many things with him. Along with the tomb, 2 panels were found which has inscriptions relating to other cities and helped piece together the struggle between 2 rivaling cities from far away. The origin of the panels are from Karakol and its hieroglyphic staircase. The staircase portion it was ripped from was recording Ka'an II's defeat of Naranjo, but Naranjo sacked the city and took the staircase back to their city and vandalized it. The panels recovered from the structure explain the origins of the Karakol dynasty at the time, with a marriage alliance and a family rivalry where Ka'an II and his half-brother were both vying for the throne. Number 8. In 2018, a new laser technology called LiDAR was used to scan the Petén in Guatemala and found 60,000 uncharted structures, especially near Tikal. In a few seconds, millions of lasers are sent to the floor and sent back with wavelengths being measured on the way back to produce a highly accurate image of the ground surface topography. The technology is amazing, as it can scan a huge area and ignore the tree tower canopy, which hides these uncharted structures. This is revolutionary, as it shows us large structures which have gone unnoticed and helps us adjust population estimates. Some of the things we have learned from this LiDAR study include 2 pyramids which are thought to be natural features were identified at Tikal, a huge fortress, which is the first of its kind found and was named La Cuernavilla, which helps us understand the wars between Tikal and Alzats and the amount of violence in Maya worlds in general. New settlements that suggest La Corona was more influential than we thought, and much more findings relating to city infrastructure. LiDAR is revolutionary and will pave the way for future findings, as evidenced by the amount of times LiDAR will be mentioned in the rest of this video. Number 7. In 2019, a new study found that the town of Witsna, which is known as Balam Jol, was purposefully destroyed. Archaeologists found that the site had been razed in a fire which destroyed most of the town in the last decade of the 7th century. When reviewed with inscriptions from Naranjo, it was revealed that Balam Jol was rebellious, so Naranjo burned it down to the ground for the second time in 697 CE, and afterwards they either killed or took the population captive. The finding of this total destruction in this period has challenged long-established theories about Maya warfare. Normally, most Mayanists would say that violence of this scale didn't happen until the 9th century during the Terminal Classic period, so it was a shock to see an entire site being razed to the ground. Number 6. In 2019, archaeologists have found the remains of the capital of the Cerbzzz kingdom, which they named Lakangha Tzetzal, in the backyard of a farmer's ranch. The existence of Cerbzzz was known for a while because other kingdoms had written about Cerbzzz, but until now, the location of the capital had been a mystery. Finding Lakangha Tzetzal helps us understand the kingdom better, and we see how cunning they had to be to survive the giants surrounding it. We also have new inscriptions from the city itself. They're still being studied, but we already know that at one point it was raised in a fire, and other inscriptions give us insight into their mythology and rulers. In 2020, a LiDAR scan over Tabasco, Mexico, found the largest and oldest ceremonial center ever found belonging to the Maya people. It was built from 1000 BCE to 800 BCE and 10 to 15 meters above the surrounding area, with 9 causeways extending from the platform. Excavations are still ongoing, and early results have yielded pottery and jade axes. Archaeologists are hoping that by studying the site, we will understand how communal life began in Maya cultures, since there doesn't seem to be any residential structures on site, which meant the people were at least partially mobile. Recent excavations in 2021 have shown that there might be some Olmec influence over Aguada Phoenix, as the structure is similar to the ones over at the Olmec site of San Lorenzo, which does raise some questions, as we assume San Lorenzo had rulers, but for some reason Aguada Phoenix did not appear to. Further excavations will shed light on these questions. Number 4. In 2020, epigraphers were able to decipher the existence of 14 new rulers from Koba, who ruled from 500 to 780 CE. The names include the dynasty founder Jun Piktok and a female ruler named Lady Yopa'at. These names were deciphered using photogrammetry and an artificial grazing light to get the precise shapes of the glyphs so they could be read, as the inscriptions were badly eroded. While we haven't gotten precise dates of the rules of these people, we do know that Lady Yopa'at's reign was at the start of the 7th century and went on for 40 years in what appears to be a golden age of Koba. Speaking of queens from Koba, in 2020, a theory was put out that the longest sakbe, a specific type of road built by the Maya, was made by Lady Ka'awil Ahau, who ruled from 640 to 682, so she might have ruled after Lady Yopa'at's male successor. The 62-mile sakbe was fully mapped with the help of LiDAR and may have been built around 680 CE, which connected Koba to Yashuna, a city at the heart of the Yucatan, which was near Chichen Itza. The road is theorized to have been made so Koba could invade and conquer Yashuna to counter the rise of Chichen Itza, which also added the benefit of linking smaller towns and increasing trade and cultural diffusion between the two. Queens are rare in Maya history, so it is peculiar that Koba had two in quick succession, with there possibly being an earlier queen before them, which all three led Koba into respective golden ages, as Koba quickly fell in prestige after Lady Ka'awil, but studying the city could further provide insight into the role of women in the Maya world. Number 3. In 2021, a LiDAR scan covered 3 valleys which contains the cities of Paellos Negras, Lamar, and the previously mentioned Lakaha Saltal, which helped uncover how the people farmed the crops which fed their populations. The study found that while the areas immediate to outside of Paellos Negras had zero farming and agriculture done near the city, in the countryside, sparsely populated areas and towns like Lamar focused exclusively on farming and were able to install infrastructure that allowed their farms to resist droughts to a degree. These farming towns made so much more food that they needed that they brought the food to bigger cities like Paellos Negras to trade, while the people in Paellos Negras focused solely on making goods that they could trade for, like stone tools, ceramics, salt, etc. This shows that the people in the area did not succumb to drought, as is usually theorized. Now we know that with Lamar, they were making food to feed multiple cities. We can use this information to rethink our approach to the collapse, as different cities are showing different reasons for their collapse. We can't attribute to one factor to the whole Maya world. Number 2. In 2021, a hieroglyphic staircase leading to a ceremonial platform was found at El Palmar, which tells us the life of Apash Wa'al. Apash Wa'al had the title of Lakam, or standard bearer, which meant he was an ambassador. He had inherited the title from his father. The deciphered hieroglyphs revealed that he went to Kopam, 560 kilometers away, on behalf of Kalak Mu'al to forge an alliance with them in June of 726 CE. He built the ceremonial platform himself in September of the same year to commemorate the achievement. Next to the platform, there is a temple with a burial underneath, which we assume to be Apash Wa'al or his father, but the body showed an unexpected life for an elite. From studying the bones, the man died when they were between 35 to 50 years old, while the burial was done at the same time as the construction of the platform. The upper teeth were drilled with pyrite and jade as a sign of elite and wealth. Apash Wa'al would have taken the surgery during his puberty, possibly when he inherited his father's title. Though his smile would have been a symbol of wealth, multiple events in his life, which we found from his bones, have suggested otherwise. As a child, he suffered from malnutrition, and as an adult, he lost multiple teeth without replacing them. The drop in wealth possibly came from the collapse of relations with Kopan and Kalak Mu'al. Understanding Apash Wa'al's life helps us understand in general the importance of smaller communities as middlemen between the larger cities. Number 1. In 2022, literally last month, a study found that there was a prolonged drought in the Yucatan region. The study found that from 1400 to 1450 CE, there was a drought, and studying the bones of the people that lived in Mayapan at the time, Lee says that there's a correlation in civil unrest and drought. The timeline lines up with early colonial sources where a civil war broke out in 1441, which ended in the abandonment of the last Maya city. The study also made light an understanding of earlier events in Mayapan history, like drying resulting in rebellion, and that depopulation in the late 14th century, and the peak population in the 13th century during wetter climates. This study gives more insight into the fall of the urban society in Mayan culture, as we have the context into the Shu-led rebellion of the Kokon family in the backdrop of a drought. The Maya were unrivaled in their power during the ancient Americas. They made innovations in many areas of architecture, agriculture, writing, and much more. Discoveries in the Maya world are still happening left and right, showing us their mighty legacy and how central they are to understanding the history of the Americas. Now, if you excuse me, I'll retreat for another year because I've been reading so many scientific articles and I just need to curl up with a good book again.